morning, thanks for joining me. Welcome to another video, another 5 on Friday. For those who are new, welcome. For those who are old, welcome back. Not old, you know what I mean. I must find a more attractive, complimentary way of talking to previous viewers rather than calling them all old. Not that there's anything wrong with getting old. The alternative is most unpleasant. Anyway, today's a 5 on Friday video. And today's subject, Room 101, is suggested by a viewer. So thank you very much. I'm afraid I can't remember who suggested it. It might have been Joan. So if it was, thank you very much, Joan. Quite a good day for me to be filming this because I'm in a little bit of a grumpy mood today. So talking about things that irritate me is probably just ideal. Just realised that you're on a slight angle and I'm not sure how to deal with that without messing up the whole thing. I think we just have to... Should I do the whole thing like that? Oh God, what a mess. I'll never make a professional YouTuber, will I? So yes, Room 101, things that I would like. Room 101 was originally a TV series, wasn't it? I don't know where they got the name from, but it's basically a place where you send things that you don't like, things that annoy you, things that perhaps, things that you find irritating. And I've got 5 things to talk to you about that I find irritating that I am sending to Room 101 today. And the first one is people who don't use headphones when they have sound on their mobile phones or tablets or computers or whatever in public places. I have a pathological hatred of this, and it seems to be becoming more and more prevalent. Train, I think I first noticed it on a train, and there was a small child in the seat in front of Ashley and myself. Can't remember where we were going, but it was several years ago, and he had an iPad with a cartoon on it. SpongeBob SquarePants it was. I actually remember which cartoon it was. And he didn't have headphones, and they had it at full volume, and I just find it so unspeakably rude, just so rude. I almost wanted to say something. In fact, there have been occasions when I have said something. I haven't done. I didn't in that case, but it went on for hours as well. And just, why do people think that's okay? Why do they think it's okay to encroach on other people's personal space with their choice of viewing? And I suppose it's mildly, it wasn't the kid's fault, it was the mother's fault, obviously, you know. It's mildly less offensive when it's kids, but actually I'm not sure if it is or not, because the parents ought to know better. If it's kids by themselves, I guess, they probably wouldn't be aware of it, although they shouldn't be, you know, in public places without their parents. I'm digressing, but yeah, I was incensed by this, and it went on for ages, and since then it seems to be everywhere, particularly on planes. I don't like it because you're all cooped up in such a small space, and people watching one mobile phone together with the sound on, video clips, and football matches. I've had it, not at a football match, but people watching football matches in hotel bars, in pubs. It's just rude. Don't force your sound onto other people in the same area. I just think it's a complete unawareness of people around you, isn't it? So rude. Really hate that one. So they're all going to Room 101, all those rude, non-headphoned people. The next one that annoys me, I had to have a driving one in here. I get a lot of road rage. I'm not the most patient of drivers with other people. And a few years ago, my driving bugbear would have been different from what it is now. Because we lived in a little village in Devon, out in the countryside, and in order to access this village, you had to drive up. Whichever way you drove out of the village, there were a few miles of very narrow, single carriageway country lanes where you couldn't get 2 cars on the road. So you needed to reverse a lot, particularly at busy times of day, to go to the nearest passing place to let the other person pass. And there were also in this area a couple of caravan parks and campsites, and so in the holiday season you would be getting grockles, as we call them, which is our Devon word. I think it might be a Dorset word actually, but I'm not sure anyway, for holiday makers, and they would not be able to reverse. People who seemed wholly unable to reverse. With the caravans, I kind of understand it, but just generally not being able to reverse. So for example, you'd be in the lanes and you'd come upon someone coming in the other direction, and you could see the passing place. It would be maybe 30 yards behind them, so they'd have to reverse the 30 yards. Alternatively, to go back to the other one, the next nearest one, you would have to reverse 150 yards. So it makes sense for whoever's closest to the reversing space to go back. Inevitably, grockles, because they didn't like reversing or couldn't reverse or whatever, or were out of practice, would just sit there looking helpless, and you'd end up reversing miles and miles back to the next, because they could. I would reverse 200 yards because they couldn't reverse 20 basically, and that used to really, really annoy me. However, now we don't live in the countryside, we live in town, don't have that problem so much. My real bugbear these days is tailgaters, people who drive that close behind you on your bumper. I really hate it, especially when you're driving at speed. When I drive up and down to my parents' house, there's a lot of single carriageway roads where you can't pass, and I will drive at the speed limit, if not a bit. I am not a slow driver, but inevitably there's people right up behind you desperate to get past, and if I'm driving at the speed limit, I think, you know, it's just a bit unnecessary, isn't it? I'm not a slow driver, I'm not pottering along at 30, I'm doing 50 or 60 or whatever, and you know, why do they need to be so close behind me? I really hate it, really don't like it at all, because inevitably it's going to be your car they damage when they crash into you when you need to brake suddenly, isn't it? Number 3 of things I'm sending to Room 101 is Facebook Marketplace. It seems to be a place where people are completely devoid of manners. I don't like it for either buying or selling. If you see something for sale and you're interested in it and you message the person, you either don't get a reply or they tell you it's sold already. If it's sold, press the mark as sold button. It's one button, for goodness sake. One button you need to press, and then you would stop getting all these messages from people asking if you've still got it. Why not do that? If you want to sell it, why are you not replying to any messages at all? That's just bloody ridiculous, isn't it? That's a waste of everybody's time. So buying is a nightmare, I find, but selling is even worse. I can't imagine there's anybody in this country who hasn't had a situation where they've tried to sell something on Facebook Marketplace and the person has said they are coming, said what time they're going to turn up, and they just never turn up. They never message, they don't come. If you message them and ask, are you still coming, they don't reply. So rude. Why waste everybody's time? It's just a nightmare. I've got to the stage now, I do sell a few things on Facebook Marketplace, stuff that I don't want to post generally because it's too big or bulky. But I won't give out my address until I know that they're actually on their way to see me now. Because you end up spending hours at home. Somebody says they're coming at 11. So you wait until 11, not at the moment, obviously, because we're all just in all the time, aren't we? But in the normal life, someone says they're coming at 11, so you wait till 11 and then you wait till past and they still haven't turned up, so you message them and you say, are you on your way? And they go, oh yeah, I completely forgot, I'm coming now, coming right now, or else they don't reply at all. So that's all that time you've wasted. So then they say they're coming now, and then you wait a bit longer, another hour passes, and you message and say, are you coming? Yeah, I'm on my way, I was waiting for my lift and my mum couldn't get me. Oh God, and just all a nightmare. So I've just now started not giving out my address. I say, text me when you're on your way and I'll give you my exact address, which does work, because otherwise, you know, they can't come if they haven't got your address, and if they're not coming, then they haven't asked you for it. But anyway, yeah, Facebook Marketplace, get in the bin, Room 101 for you. The next thing I want to send to Room 101 is, I don't know what you call these, I think it's a snobbish thing. Basically, TV snobs, book snobs and film snobs. I really hate people who are snobby about what other people choose to read or watch on the television or books or whatever. I have a couple of friends who are like this, and they know that I don't like it, so they don't do it quite so much anymore. But for example, someone says, what have you been watching on TV recently? And you say, oh, I'm watching The Real Housewives, or I'm watching Love Island, or I saw such as, and they go, oh my God, I can't bear that trash. Why do you waste your time watching that utter trash? It's just dreadful. And in the vast majority of people who say this haven't ever seen an episode of the programme that you're talking about. It's just that they feel it's below them, you know. And similar with books as well. I notice this quite a lot in book groups that I'm in on Facebook. Not so much with people I know this one, but for example, someone says, oh, I've read 50 Shades of Grey and I enjoyed it, and you get 150 comments of people saying, that's absolute trash, absolute awful book, dreadful, so badly written. But if you've enjoyed something, it's not down to someone else to call it trash, is it? I mean, light entertainment for the TV stuff, yes, and it is trashy TV, but it's almost like shaming someone, isn't it, for what they're choosing to spend their time doing, and I don't like that at all. So all the book snobs, all the TV snobs, all the film snobs, get into room 101, can't be doing with it. The final item, number 5, that I want to put into room 101 is waiting when I'm paying for something. And it's not so much the waiting that I object to. So for example, if I'm in a doctor's waiting room, I'm technically I'm paying for it because it's the NHS and we all pay for it, but anyone who pays taxes pays for it. But I'm not actually paying for that as a service, so I don't feel like I can complain about waiting. However, my dentist, I go to a private dentist, and if I'm kept waiting a long time, it really annoys me. I think I've made an appointment, I'm paying for the dentist's time, I don't expect him to overrun. It's like the dentist saying to me, oh, your time's less valuable than mine, which I don't like. I should just put a bit of a rider in here. I do understand that sometimes it's impossible, you know, something is overrun, and you know, occasionally there is a situation where they've been with the previous patient for longer or whatever, and if they then say, I'm really sorry to keep you waiting, that's fine. But being kept waiting, but if they don't say that, my blood is absolutely boiling. I had an incident recently in the dentist with, I was going to see the hygienist just before lockdown, this was, and I deliberately booked the first appointment of the day because she overruns a lot. Again, this is a private treatment, I'm paying for it. And she very often overruns. She talks a lot. She's a big talker. Lovely girl, don't get me wrong, absolutely love her, and she's been doing my teeth for years. But she is quite a big talker and she's not particularly speedy. So I always book the first appointment in the morning at 8:30. So I got there at 8:20, the receptionist there, and I can hear the hygienist having a chat with someone else in her little room round the corner because I'm the only person in the waiting room. And it took through to 8:30, my appointment, and it took through to 9:25, and I can still hear her. And then it got to almost 9:20, and I said to the receptionist, is it going to be much longer, because my appointment was at 8:30? And she went, oh, I don't suppose she'll be much longer now, I'm sure she'll be with you shortly. Another couple of minutes, I could still hear her chatting. I said to the receptionist, could you perhaps go and mention to the hygienist that my appointment was at 8:30, and I don't feel very happy that I can sit here listening to her having a chat when I'm waiting and I'm paying for this. And that was the second time in a row it had happened, and the receptionist went and saw her and she saw me straight away. But yeah, it's just not good, is it? I've actually, in a hairdresser's, walked out once before. I had my hair done by the same girl for a long time, and she was nice. I quite liked the way she did my hair. Obviously I liked the way she did my hair because I kept going back, but her timekeeping wasn't the best. And I put up with it because finding a new hairdresser is just a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? And quite often she would keep me waiting for 15 minutes, sometimes 20 minutes after my appointment time, not apologise, and it just wasn't great, and it had been getting increasingly worse. Anyway, I had an appointment with her this one morning. Anyway, I was walking to the hairdressers from the car park, on time for my appointment, obviously, and a gentleman in front of me, elderly gentleman on a mobility scooter, went off the side of the curb into the road, and the whole thing tipped sideways. It wasn't one of the sturdy mobility scooters you have now. This is quite a few years ago. It was quite a rickety, sort of not very sturdy one. And he just went sideways into the road, and obviously I stopped to help him, as did a couple of other people. He was all right. We did call an ambulance because he was very shocked and sort of momentarily stunned, but he was actually all right. And myself and a couple of other people were with him, and then a lady came along who was a nurse, and she offered to stay with him till the ambulance came. We sort of picked him up and got him onto the pavement and stuff. And so I'm continued on to my hair appointment. When I got to the hairdressers, I was about 8 minutes late for my appointment, I think it was, not even 10 minutes. And I was having highlights and a cut, and the hairdresser said to me, I'm not sure if we'll be able to do it. Nothing at all. I didn't even have time to tell her that I was why I was delayed, and she said, I don't think I'm going to have time to do your whole head colour. You're going to just have to have half a head today because you're late. Let's just say I didn't stay there, didn't have my highlights, didn't have my haircut, never went back. So yeah, people who don't value my time as much as I value theirs when I'm paying for something all can get into room 101. Oh, I feel so much better for getting all that off my chest. Let me know in the comments what you would put into 101. What are your pet hates, or if you agree or disagree with any of mine. I hope you enjoyed this. It was a little bit of light-hearted fun. If you have any ideas for subjects for 5 on Friday, do let me know in the comments. And I think that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye bye.